You're listening to Counterclockwise, where we decide the best of unimportant categories. I really put the emphasis on we. I was like, I'm combating somebody. Like, you don't decide, we decide.
We do.
Yeah, screw everybody else's opinion. Anyway, the scream queen across the table from me is my spookiest brother, Brandon Wise. How are you?
I'm somber.
Somber. It is a.
I'm somber.
It's a day.
I'm somber because one, this is our last Halloween episode.
True.
And
but
two,
it is the big one.
It is the big one. And two, our Gardos are down 3-1.
They're down 3-1.
They lost the heartbreaker last night, and it kind of just feels like I'm watching their funeral tonight.
Yeah.
And
they're gonna put the last nail on the coffin.
I'm so sick of saying, well, this season was so much fun. Hey, you know what would be fun? A World Series, maybe. I don't know, just one.
Just one.
Just give me one title so I can never give a shit about sports again.
Yeah, you've said that multiple times. Just, you can just, everything, all the leagues can just explode and just never exist.
Just give me one World Series, please, so I can celebrate with my brother and my dad and my stepdad. And I can never have to worry about it again. Because anything else after that is just bonus.
Yeah.
I just need that first one. But yeah.
Anyway, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Anyway.
Speaking of funerals.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Wise. And up next, are you crazy? Let's hide behind the chainsaws. Horror movie weapons coming up in about 23 seconds.
You know, it's Halloween. Number one, you can never have sex.
Today we're making love while that young boy drunk.
I'm scary Terry. You can run, but you can't hide.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
But it's just one of those things that everybody kind of accepts about football.
Mm-hmm.
But can we abolish the kneel down play? Can we just get rid of it? Why do we have to have this? Why do we have to waste like 8 minutes of our lives waiting for them to just kneel down twice? But then there's always some issue with the clock. And there's like, oh, wait, we got to give the ball back to the ref so he can just put it down, and then we can kneel down again and run out the last 28 seconds of the clock. Can we do it like the intentional walk in baseball, where you just hold up the 4 fingers and then he takes first base? Can we just do that? Can you just walk up to the ref, say, hey, we're going to kneel down twice, and they go, okay, they've kneeled down twice. That's the end of the first half. Do we have to go through the motions? What is the point? It's like, okay, they might something crazy could stop. Something crazy could happen with an intentional walk, too.
Yeah.
Like, you could lean out 8 feet and take a swing if you want to, but it's really dumb. The chances are tiny. Do we have to?
Have you ever seen a fake kneel down?
Yeah.
Which
is also dumb.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's kind of crazy when it happens, but like, okay, come on.
It very rarely happens. But, that's, I guess, fair. How long you been sitting on that?
Couple weeks. There was a game I was watching. They were replaying it on NFL Network the one day. This was it was like week 1 or 2 maybe, and they were replaying a game, and I think it was going into the half, and it was one of those where I think they had to do it twice, and there was some kind of issue with the clock. There's like, well, they got to figure out how much time's still on the clock, and they got to do. But again, it was inconsequential. It was like there was 42 seconds. And they're like, was there 42 seconds or 47 seconds? It literally doesn't matter. They're going to kneel down twice. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. I guess that would come down to if you put up, let's say, for instance, you put up 4 fingers or whatever, saying you're going to kneel down. How much time do you take off the clock then? How do you take off
whatever the play clock would be?
Yeah,
because that's how the kneel down works.
So
you just,
because usually you snap the ball with like 5 seconds left or whatever.
Yeah, play clock's what, 40?
Yeah. Well, that's in college. NFL is like 25.
Okay, well, if it's 28 seconds or whatever left on the clock, you kneel down once, you got that bleeds 25 seconds off.
Yeah.
So I would say just whatever the play clock is. that's how much time comes off.
Yeah.
So if it's and then you don't lose yardage too. That's the other thing. Somebody told me once
that shouldn't count as negative yardage.
Yeah.
For a kneel
Somebody
down.
told me he lost a fantasy matchup because of it. Their quarterback kneeled down, lost 2 yards, and that was the make or break.
That shouldn't be an official rushing stat. That's ridiculous.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
But also, like, because normally it's like, fine, okay, who cares? It's a couple of seconds, and then they run to the locker rooms. No big deal. Or it's the end of the game. Who cares? But it's the ones where it's kind of that weird point where, like, oh, are they going to have to do it once or twice? Or when they're on like the 1 yard line, so they got to make sure they kneel on the other side of the goal line.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, come on. Do we really have to go through this? It's just, we don't want to have to take 2 points because we're kneeling in the end zone.
I mean, that's fair. That's understandable though. If hypothetically for your scenario, for your thing to work, you'd have to be no farther. You'd have to be like on the 10 at minimum.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the 5, you still gotta, and if you want to kneel down a couple times, I mean, you still gotta like kneel down immediately. Like you can't take a step or two.
Yeah. I guess it would have to be like at the end of the game.
Yeah.
When we're running out the clock because we're up by 2 touchdowns. Like maybe it's like if you're up by more than 7 points or something. Then you can just say, oh, we're just going to take.
I would agree with that. If there's a certain threshold you got to meet to be able to like do an auto kneel down.
Yeah. Because back to that game I was watching that made me think of it. I can't remember all of what happened, but it was like this was at the end of the half. And they kneeled down once, and then they like half the team runs off, and then they had to like call them back just to kneel down again for the last 3 seconds of the game.
I've seen that. I've seen that a few times, and it's
why do we have to do this?
No, because I mean, we all know why. I mean, because those extra 4 seconds get 5 more Bernie Moreno ads.
Yeah, exactly. Have you been getting bombarded by him in the mail?
Oh yeah, every single day.
Every day I get something from him.
Every day.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, speaking of scary men, terrible segue again. Anyway,
you know what?
I
respect it. I'll take it.
So this is our Halloween episode, our Halloween spectacular. Oh. I refrained from saying spooktacular, but I wanted to get it in there anyway. We are doing, what did we decide? Horror movie weapons.
Weapons.
Now, is this all horror? I know we said horror. We're not just doing slashers, right? We're doing horror general.
Anything that, if you go on IMDb,
and it says one of the first 2 categories.
One of the first 2, yeah. If it says horror in the category.
That's how I did it, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So
there's a line. There were some I wanted to include, but I'm like, this is more of a thriller.
Yeah. Okay. So my other thing, this was something I kind of thought of after the fact. But are we just doing villain weapons? Because in my mind, I was thinking slashers, but then later I was thinking, well, it could just be anything. So we're just doing any weapons used in a horror movie.
I mean, spoiler alert, most of mine are villains, but no.
Most of mine are too, but there's a couple that are heroes.
It's literally horror movie weapons. It doesn't matter who wield it.
Now, you mentioned earlier that there's a lot of these.
Yes.
You said maybe we should do 6 for this one.
Yes.
I don't know. I think maybe we should keep it tight. Try to challenge ourselves to get to 5.
Okay.
But my other thought, maybe we exclude like the big 5 or the big 3. I mean,
ooh,
just because you think horror movies, you think slashers.
Okay.
Your first 3 thoughts are Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
And like Freddy Krueger has those finger claws, the finger knives. It's pretty tough to beat that as far as a weapon. A horror movie weapon, specifically a slasher movie weapon, but I incredibly iconic, like the bathtub scene.
Yeah,
I
still love
great.
The ceiling blood waterfall thing.
Yeah,
oh my god. I had briefly thought of that, similar to our Spies episode where we excluded James Bond.
We took out Bond. Yeah.
So you know what? I can get down with that. I mean, okay. I gotta like make some changes on the fly now.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I think I can do that.
So are those the 3 you think we should exclude? I don't think there's any other that those were the 3
top
iconic.
Those are the 3 I was mainly talking about. Yeah. Michael Myers' butcher knife, Jason's machete, and Freddy's fingers.
Freddy's fingers. Yeah.
Because those were going to be my surefire.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like those are the first ones.
And we would have to choose between 2 out of a million that we have.
Yeah, like
So-
I have literally a full page of nominees,
Right.
or at least nominees and honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good way to do it.
Okay, I got 8. I got 8.
Okay, cool. Do you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, I can start.
Hit me.
I have to ask every single time because my brain just cannot remember nominees, correct?
Yes, just nominees.
All right.
No explanations needed.
All right. So we've got the chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
Leatherface's chainsaw. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's in the title, people.
Yeah. I have the knife, the hunting knife used in Scream.
Yep.
From Children of the Corn.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know what that weapon's called.
The sickle? I think it's a sickle.
Yeah. Yep. And they also use various farm tools, but the sickle
I
is...
like how we both just did the little wrist motion. Yeah. This is the universal sign for sickle.
Yeah, so the sickle, Children of the Corn. So I'm also going to throw out as a nominee from Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. The bong thing.
Yeah, well, not just that, but just the fact that there's multiple traps, and it's like it's like a game thing.
Oh, all the traps.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
that's
not
okay. Continue.
But I know.
I got excited.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I mean, it's in the same vein as that.
Yeah.
We've got also speaking of traps from Saw, Jigsaw's traps. The main one though, the
bear trap one
is the reverse bear trap.
Okay.
That's the one
we're just doing that one.
That's the one I'm singling out.
Okay.
We have the video from The Ring.
Okay, I thought about that one.
But that's kind of a gray area whether that's a weapon or not. Kind of
Yeah, we can talk about it.
but along that same lines, I have Carrie's brain.
I was trying to figure out if I wanted to count that one or not.
I'm counting it.
Like her telekinesis, something in her, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Is that a weapon? Is it not? Okay.
I think the last one I have is going to be, I mean, this is going to come as no fucking shocker to you, but we've got the cotton candy laser gun and the popcorn gun from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Both of them? They got to be separate. They got to be separate nominees.
No, I'm rolling with them both.
They got to be separate, though. You can't have 2 in the top 5.
Well, guess what?
That's got to be 2 slots.
Fine, I have 9 nominees then.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You got to keep them separate.
Fine.
It's got to be number 8 and number 9.
Fine.
You can have both in the top 5, but they got to occupy 2 slots.
Fine.
That's funny because I didn't put the popcorn gun in there. I wanted to do one gun, so I put the cotton candy gun. Mm-hmm. But I have the shadow puppet T-Rex.
I wanted to put that in there too, but I was like, I figured you were going to put that in there because I know that's your favorite death scene.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I love that one. And everybody's just like watching and just
the old
getting
man,
a kick out
the
of
old
it.
man's like, oh my God. I think my favorite part from that scene is when the shadow puppet T-Rex just eats the guy. There's no sound.
Yeah. What sound does the shadow puppet T-Rex make?
it just swallows him and there's no sound.
Okay, so surprisingly few overlaps though, which is good.
That's good.
So I also had the knife from Scream. Mm-hmm. I have Candyman's hook hand.
I considered that one. Yeah.
I just mentioned the shadow puppet T-Rex from Killer Clowns. I also had the reverse bear trap from Saw and the cotton candy gun. And then my 2 that I didn't have were the power loader thingy from Aliens that she drives at the end.
Okay.
She fights the xenomorph queen with.
Is that a horror movie or is that a sci-fi?
It's listed as horror. It's horror sci-fi
okay.
on the IMDb or one of them.
See, I when I was thinking of Alien, I was like, it feels more sci-fi to me. But
yeah, I think it's sci-fi first, and then that's the other thing. Alien, I feel like is more horror. Aliens is more like an action sci-fi,
yeah.
But I think it also has a lot of horror elements still.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of blood. It's a lot of jumpy bits and things crawling around.
I don't know if this is going to ruin it, but because I thought about the Predator laser things that he uses.
Yeah, see, that's another one.
I thought about that.
I debated that one when I looked that one up. It doesn't say horror. It doesn't list horror in those first 2 categories.
That's more of a sci-fi action movie for sure.
Yeah, it's full on just action movie. Like if it was a little darker and a little more jumping out of corners and
Also, I gotta say
scary
this.
music and stuff.
Don't get me wrong. I like Predator. You know, I just started watching Predator and Alien. Started watching those two together like months ago. Mm-hmm. Predator, kind of cheesy though. I thought, I thought I like it and it's good, but I thought it was going to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just thought
like it's not Aliens.
No.
Or Alien. And it's not that serious. It's a Schwarzenegger franchise.
Right, but I also thought I think I had higher expectations for the Predator himself.
For like the actual.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think he's pretty cool.
I'm not saying he's not. I think he's cool too, but I feel like he could be a lot cooler.
I mean, he's like an 8-foot tall dude with like alien dreadlocks.
I know.
And that scream.
I don't know.
Where they both scream together.
I just
like the weird like teeth side little claw teeth thingies.
Something's just I don't know. Something's just missing, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it.
It is kind of weird that it's like an alien, but it's basically just a tall dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So that's all our nominees, right? Did I list them all? Oh no, I had one more. The Bread Slicer from Fear Street. I just think that's.
Oh man, I forgot about those movies. I loved them too, and I forgot all about them.
Yeah. So let me see. Since we took those three out, let me see if there's any other ones that I might want to bump up. Maybe the only other one I might throw in there is the oxygen tank from Jaws that he blows up the shark with. So I think we got our list, right?
Yep.
We got them all. Okay, cool. We will be right back in a couple of doodly doos on the old whatever we're playing in the middle of a couple musics, a handful of musics later. Alrighty. Honorable mentions. Mm-hmm. You want to go first? You want me?
Yeah, we might as well just. I always
keep the same order.
Yep, might as well.
And then you get confused again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
You know damn well the time where I don't get confused, you're going to be confused.
That's true. You're
going to be like, "What the fuck's going on? Are you okay?
Happening? Where are we?"
Your brain's working normal. Are you sure you're fine? I don't have very many. Well, I did, but then we took 3 out, so now I had to steal from my list. But I'm on Audible here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the popcorn gun out of my nominees.
Okay.
That'll be my honorable mention because I got to thinking on the break that I was like, it's not really used much.
Yeah. What does it even do? Does
it sets off remember when they take the girl home and there's popcorn on her?
Yeah.
And those
are like the little seedling things, right?
That's what that sets off. But
they're like shooting it at them like a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like takes so long for it to become a thing.
Right.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird weapon.
So specifically the cotton candy laser gun for me.
Yeah.
Is okay. I have
there's so many you could have used from that movie too.
I know. But those are
you have like the pie that like melts people.
Yeah, the acid pie.
The big hammer. Even though I don't think he ever uses it, does he?
I've watched that movie. Obviously, I've watched that movie a million times. Mm-hmm. Because what I did with this movie, I was like, all right, I said the movie, and I was like, the first two that popped in my head were those two. I was like, so those are the two I'm rolling with.
Yeah. I think those are the ones that are probably most associated with the movie, specifically the cotton candy one.
Yeah. I mean, they literally sell those two guns at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they sell.
You could have used Shorty's boxing, just his Shorty's right hook or his uppercut.
We missed an opportunity for a 3-way match last week.
Oh yeah! Oh man, that would have been perfect.
Damn,
that would have been perfect.
Damn.
Oh my God, that's Shorty's music. We'll just We're calling an audible. We're switching the episode. We're going back.
All right. Anyways, getting back on track here. There's cotton candy in there. Meow, 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 meow.
Anyway.
Okay, back on track.
Yeah.
I have Sweeney Todd's Razor.
Okay. I kept seeing that online. Yeah. That's another one. It's like, I don't really consider that a horror movie. I mean, it kind of is, but it's a musical. Like, come on.
Yeah, but still,
It's a horror musical, but like, yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, it's like
that's why it's an honorable mention.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a decent movie.
Will you call okay? Stop, Tim Taylor, with
Tim
your
Taylor.
noises.
That sounds like your dog, not Tim Taylor.
I don't think so, Tim.
Heidi ho, neighbor. Continue.
All right.
Give me your third honorable mention.
I have the hatchet.
From Hatchet?
Well, yeah, Victor Crowley's hatchet from Hatchet.
Yeah.
The pickaxe from My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, I had that too.
I put it on here just because I kept seeing it a lot. I've never seen any of the movies, but the lament configuration from Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah. Sure. It's like the little box thing.
Yeah. The like people solve the puzzle and then they get
It unleashes the Cenobites.
Yeah. And I was like, this sounds very complicated for a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a weird movie.
But you know what? I was like, I'm probably gonna watch them now.
Yeah.
I was like, might as well. I'm a horror movie. I can't say I'm a horror movie fan and not watch one of the most. I mean, he is iconic.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, so I think my last one is gonna be the Silver Shamrock Mask from Halloween 3.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, I had that.
That was actually one of the first ones I wrote down.
Really?
I mean, obviously,
I had forgotten about it. And then,
obviously, I had the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Right. And then after I wrote down Michael's Knife, I was like, Halloween 3. People shit on that movie, and it's only because the timeline.
You know, it's kind of like the criticism against Jason Takes Manhattan, because they call it Jason Takes Manhattan. You expect it to be in New York, and then 80% of the movie's on a boat. Like, on its own, if you take away the title, it makes it a lot better because you're not expecting him to be in the city the whole time. Just like with this one. If they had just called it Season of the Witch and just completely broke ties, or just called it like Season of the Witch, a Halloween movie or something like that. If they had just kind of broken the pattern and not called it just Halloween 3, then people wouldn't have been so upset about it. People would have been more accepting it. It is a weird movie. It's like the concept is kind of strange, but on its own, it's a good movie. Like it's at least decent for a horror movie.
Well, growing up, everybody had complained about it, and we never watched.
Yeah, I always thought it was garbage, and
you know, so we never actually watched it when it was on. And then you know, I got older and I started watching. I was like, what was everybody complaining? Because it had to have Michael in it. Like, this is a good movie on its own.
It's on par with most of the movies you'd see on like AMC's Fear Fest.
Yeah,
like all those like kind of like mid-tier horror movies.
You're letting your unrealistic expectations get the best of you on this.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. That one sucked. It's like, well, it doesn't suck. It's just weird.
it's just odd placement. I'll give you that.
It's out of nowhere, but yeah. Silver Shamrock. That's a good one. Anyway, so that was your last one?
Yep.
Okay, a lot of repeats, or a lot of duplicates that I had. So I had Ash's chainsaw arm from the Evil Dead series.
I didn't watch that enough to really.
Yeah, that's another one. Like I've only seen
Evil Dead.
I've seen Evil Dead. I've seen like bits of the other ones. But that's just so iconic.
Yeah, I watched
the chainsaw arm.
The Evil Dead Rises.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
All right. So next one I had was the machine gun leg from Planet Terror.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You know it. It's oh crap! I'm blanking on her name, the actor's name. It's from that Grindhouse, the two Grindhouse movies. But yeah, Planet Terror. She's got the like replaces her leg with a machine gun. You never seen that?
I'm looking right now.
Like Tarantino. Who's it? Robert Rodriguez. Is that his name?
I'm looking right now. This rings zero bells.
Really? You've never seen that?
I don't even think I've ever heard of Planet Terror.
Really? Anyway, so
I mean, I'm looking at the pictures and it's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be like an homage to a lot of those like really kind of cheaply made like shoestring budget 70s action horror movies. Those exploitation films. I had the sledgehammer from Misery.
Is that a horror movie?
Yeah, I can say. It's kind of a thriller, but
it's more of a suspense thriller for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's in the same vein.
I think that's
what do we got? What does IMDb say? That's your Bible there.
I didn't say it was my Bible. Shut the hell up.
That's what you said. You gotta go. You gotta go by what does IMDb say? What do we got here for genres? Well, there's 4 of them listed and none of them are horror, so I guess we'll ignore it. I just assume
my Bible is right again.
I will. I think because I associate it with Stephen King. So if it's scary and it's Stephen King, I just call it horror. Well, moving on. I have sticking with Stephen King. I have the axe from The Shining. Yeah. And then I kind of mentioned this earlier when you mentioned Cabin in the Woods, but the travel mug / bong thing that the one stoner guy uses. I think that's good.
It's a good
he
one.
uses it in the ear. You see it in the beginning, him actually using it as a bong, and then he uses it a couple of times as just like a multi-tool later on, and then he kills the one guy at the end with it.
You looked confused when I brought up my Cabin in the Woods weapon.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
So I'll clarify. What I meant was at the beginning when they're placing all the bets, and it's like if you pick up the book, it sets off like the hillbilly family or whatever,
Yeah,
and
so they have like all the little like triggers, I guess,
like
little
trinkets,
totems,
yeah,
or whatever.
and they pick up like the seashell. It sets off like the zombie family or whatever.
Yeah, is that a weapon though? It's like it's a thing that sets off the people that come to kill them. But
I mean, it's a weapon used by that corporation that places the bets.
Is it a weapon though?
Yeah.
Or is it it's more of a tool that, sends something to them? Like it's like a light switch.
It's still
like nothing.
but it's still something they use to kill the people.
But it's not doing the killing, is what I mean.
Yes, it is.
The item doesn't kill them. The item sends people that kill them.
Well, it's all in tandem with each other. It's like one sets off the other. It's not.
You could go back, like the door to the building. You could say is the same thing.
Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You could say the fog that they send in there that releases pheromones or whatever to make them horny. You could say that's a weapon too. They're all like interchangeable. It's not a weapon. Weapon. You know what I mean?
I think you're arguing with me. Just argue.
This is the point of the podcast, my friend. Is that a weapon? I don't think so. They're not bashing somebody's head open with it.
But it's
look at the rest of our list and say that you could make the same argument for any of these.
I understand, but it's one is used to lead to the other. Correct?
Is the tent spaceship a weapon from Killer Clowns? Because that's what brought the aliens there. Is that a weapon?
No, that's their vessel.
But it brings them to the planet that they're about to kill on. But is that also a weapon?
But they don't use the spaceship.
Are their shoes a weapon because it carried them to the people that they're about to kill? One leads directly to the other, right?
You're arguing oranges to apples.
No, I'm arguing apple crisp apples to honey crisp.
No,
or whatever
not.
Apple crisp. That's not an apple. I'm arguing Macintosh to honey crisp.
Yes. No, you're not.
I don't know. I think that's a stretch. I think you're stretching.
I think you're stretch. I think you're a stretch. You're one giant stretch.
I'm just a stretch.
You're just one stretch.
Okay, whatever. Moving on. We're still doing honorable mentions. I'm a scream through these. We got The Hook from I Know What You Did Last Summer. You ever watch Dead Alive?
No.
It's Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, is how I hear it listed a lot. It's just like a really shitty zombie movie. It was supposed to be like kind of a, what do you call that? Like almost like a parody of those kinds of movies, but they ended up just leaning into the horror side more, and it ended up just being like a true horror movie. But it's just like a really shitty like zombie movie, and it's like incredibly gory and bloody.
Okay. I gotta read the brief IMDb description of this movie.
Okay,
it's
go ahead.
fantastic. A young man's mother is bitten by a Sumatran rat monkey. Sumatran rat monkey. Thank you. Okay. A young man's mother is bitten by I already forgot how to say the word. All right. I'll get to that point. You say the word and then I'll finish it. A young man's mother is bitten by a
Sumatran
rat monkey. She gets sick and dies, at which time she comes back to life, killing and eating dogs, nurses, friends, and neighbors.
Yeah. A rat monkey. Yeah, it is. It's like a
fantastic.
It's like a creepy, like, you know what the gremlins look
this
like?
This got a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah, those are fan ratings on IMDb.
Well, I know, but like
It's not. They're not like Rotten Tomatoes is critics supposedly.
Well, I mean,
IMDb is still
it's popular.
like fans.
I know. Well, no, I know, but like its popularity is rising too. I mean, this feels like my kind of.
It's one
movie.
of those. It's like it's better than a cult movie.
Yeah,
I think it's more respected than a cult movie. And you know what the Gremlins look like? Mm-hmm. Like how they just like the little like puppet / claymation kind of thing. That's kind of what the rat monkey looks like. But anyway, at the end, like the climax is they're getting overrun by zombies, and to take him out, he basically like takes the hand, like he lifts up a lawnmower, like a push mower, and just uses the blades of a lawnmower to like just mow down these zombies. And he's just covered head to toe in blood by the end of it. And it's like a house full of them. And he just starts literally mowing them down.
fantastic.
But yeah, it's a good one. That's it. Yeah, you definitely got to add that one to your list. But anyway, yeah, I don't think like I said, I had a lot of duplicates, but yeah, I think that's a good list of honorable mentions. Good shout outs.
Reiterating,
Yeah.
we are excluding the big three of Michael's knife, Jason's machete, and Freddy's knife fingers, his glove, Freddy's glove.
The finger knife,
Yes.
finger gauntlet glove thing. So, what do you got for your sure things?
I mean, so my point of view is if somebody tells me the title of a horror movie and the first thing I think of is their weapon, the main weapon used in that movie,
Yeah. That's a good one.
It
Yeah.
goes to the top of the list for me, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's Leatherface's it's the chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
But is that because it's in the title, or is that because of the movie itself? I guess like the pretty famous scene is him like waving it at the end.
Yeah. I know it's in the title, but I think, I don't know, that the original is just so good. You know, the sequels are okay. I mean, there's the one with Matthew McConaughey. It's pretty bad. It's pretty rough. But
it did kind of. A lot of people credit that as like the first kind of modern slasher.
yeah, I would have considered it as a big four. I would have been okay if we were like, yeah, we're gonna leave the chainsaw off. That's how surefire to me it is.
Yeah, I guess so. I watched that like so long ago, and I don't really remember it all that much. It's not one I go back to all that much. Mm-hmm. Do they use the chainsaw quite a bit? And I mean, obviously it's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so obviously I would assume it's used quite a bit. But is that the main weapon of choice for Leatherface? Mm-hmm. Like that's his main thing that he uses? Okay.
I mean, in like the newer like the modern sequels, post McConaughey. Yeah. I mean, he does kill, the people some other ways. Like, I know, like, with, like, there's, like, meat hooks and stuff. But
yeah,
like,
I assume there were, like, a few other ones, but I didn't
like,
know
that's
if it was,
his
like,
main, Okay. I mean, one of them...
like I said, I know that famous, there's, like, a famous shot of him kind of, like, from a distance where he's, it over his head. Do you want to include that in the top, or, like, in the big ones that we exclude? Because, I mean, it is...
No.
I mean, when I think the big three, it's the other ones, just because those were the ones that kind of ruled the 80s when slashers were the big thing.
No, we don't need to.
Okay.
I think it's like on the cusp.
Yeah, I think it's probably the fourth one if you were gonna do like a.
He'd be like a quad A player.
If you were gonna do a Rushmore of those characters, I think he'd be probably the fourth. He'd be the Teddy Roosevelt.
Right.
So okay, so that's a good one. Any other sure things you want to throw in there?
No, that was literally my only sure thing.
I think the buck knife from Ghostface or from Scream, I think is a good one. It's a pretty the shape of it specifically is a pretty iconic shape, and it's like pretty much the only weapon he uses. Obviously, he kind of will improvise here and there, but
yeah, I mean I could get on board with it, but when I think of the Scream movies, I think of all the other themes and all the other. I don't really think of just don't think it's as iconic as people make it out to be.
Who's people? Me?
Well, I mean, because
if people are making it to be iconic, isn't it iconic?
I guess maybe it's just my bias, but like every list I saw had it on there. But it's like, I mean, how many times are they killing people with guns in those movies? You know, like
usually just the climax after they unmask themselves. Every other time it's the knife, and then he does the like swipe thing where he takes the blood off of it.
Yeah.
pretty much every kill, at least in the first couple, they might get a little wild later on. But
I'm arguing of it for being a sure thing, but I would include it in my top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. So you mentioned if it's one of the first things you think of when you think of the movie. For that, I'd have to say the power loader from Aliens. When you think of Aliens, even people that don't know the movie, even people that haven't even seen the movie, they know at least something like that scene with her in that machine fighting the xenomorph queen at the end.
Top 5 though?
It's the main, at least based on what I'm saying though. Like it's
Right,
the one scene everybody knows from that movie, and I think it's just cool. I mean, she's in like basically robot armor fighting a xenomorph, a giant one of the queen. Okay, well, we'll come back to that one. What else you got?
My only sure thing was the chainsaw.
Really? Okay. What about long shots? Anyone you think you want to make the case for that others might not think of?
I mean, the cotton candy laser gun.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that one it's gaining so much popularity now. It's almost like not even a long shot anymore.
Yeah.
And like you said, they sell it at every Spirit Halloween. It has one of those on the shelf now.
And I don't want to be that guy, because if I like that people enjoy things, like, and I like that this movie is like really popular now. But when I introduced this movie to you, it was on Netflix, and it was way before it.
It was just something that you stumbled upon.
Yeah.
And nobody knew anything about it. Everybody thought it was like, oh, this is just like, which is like some dumb shitty 80s movie. Which it kind of is, but it's great. It's a fun movie, regardless of how bad it is.
Every person I've ever introduced it to, they're like, there's been a couple people that they're like, I don't like clowns. I'm like, I know, that's okay, but this is like, you're not gonna be scared by these.
Yeah,
like
yeah. They are a little freaky though.
Well, they're creepy looking, but like, I kind of want to hang out with them.
I think you've seen the movie too many times. That's not a normal reaction, I don't think. Those things are creepy looking.
I never claimed to be a normal guy though.
Yeah, that's true. Like I don't have like a tremendous fear of clowns. Like there are certain ones that kind of creep me out, but it usually depends on their demeanor themselves.
Are you really surprised? I have a 6-foot animatronic clown from that movie in my living room all year long.
Well, that's cool though, but that's a decoration. You're not hanging out with a killer clown.
I'm literally dressing him up in Guardians gear for good luck.
See, I mean that I think is cool. Like that. It's odd to have him up all year round, but it's fine.
I'm gonna put a Halloween costume on him for my Halloween party when he's already a Halloween decoration.
Yeah. But I mean, he wants to dress up too. But like literally hanging out with him, like that's a weird one.
I feel like we could have a good time.
Which one specifically? The one that doing the shadow doing the puppets?
Oh, Shorty.
Shorty.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Shorty does seem kind of fun.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to hang out with the big giant oof with the sledgehammer trying to lure the little kid out of the.
Yeah, he's a little creepy.
You're a pedo.
Yeah.
No.
With the finger. Oof,
yeah.
That's spooky.
Yeah.
I also don't like. There's something about clowns. They have the hair. It's like long hair, and it kind of just droops down. It doesn't like stand up. It doesn't, or it's not like poofy outward. It just kind of like droops down to their side. That, for whatever reason, that wigs me out too much.
Because it doesn't look normal.
That just it looks freaky to me. That's like extra creepy.
It's like a human with clown looking traits.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like those people that are bald, but they kind of grow their hair out anyway. They have like the horseshoe of hair, and it just grows out, but it's like still perfectly straight somehow.
We call that the Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, really. It's the Hulk Hogan, but it's big and clowny, and it's like, there's just something about that just extra creepy to me. I don't know why.
Big and clowny. But I'm just glad I don't have that clown fear.
Yeah.
Because I can watch it, Terrifier, this movie, and I was just like, it's I don't know. I've never been traumatized by a clown, so it's like
it's certain ones. Again, like I think it's almost their demeanor or almost like specific looks to them that freak me out. Like I said, like the hair thing. Most of the killer clowns are fine. Like they're kind of creepy, but they're supposed to be creepy. because they're monsters. Except for that one that's just extra creepy. And then, like It, I have no problem with either of them. Yeah, they're spooky, they're scary, they're supposed to be, just like any other killer, or like movie character killer is supposed to be creepy. The Terrifier guy, his face freaks me out. But anyway, what were we even talking about before we got sidetracked by all the clown stuff?
I brought up the cotton candy laser gun, and we just tailed off into the.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's another one. That, like you said, that's probably the first thing just about anybody thinks of when they think of that movie. At least the first weapon you think of, that or the popcorn gun. But yeah, so that's, I mean, we're a little biased, but that's definitely up there for me too. But any other long shots you think? Anything you want to throw your weight behind?
Long shots. I guess my only other long shot would be the sickle from Children of the Corn.
Yeah. See, I saw that a lot of places online. I've never watched Children of the Corn, but like, I don't know.
It's pretty good.
It's one of those. It's not super like the movies. I don't know that the weapon specifically is, but
I mean, and Children of the Corn isn't.
Did they remake that one? I think didn't they do a remake or like a prequel or one of those reboot or whatever from 10 years ago?
And Children of the Corn isn't some Oscar nominee movie, right? I mean, it's an iconic movie, but like, I just think because it was a unique idea. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think that helps it a lot because it's when you watch it's.
Yeah, I mean, but that's with a lot of these.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I think if it wasn't such a out of the box idea, this movie wouldn't be as popular as it is. It's weird. I just said I liked it, but then I trashed it. But
yeah. So I'd say my long shot would probably be, well, I'd probably have two. The shadow puppet T-Rex from Killer Clowns. I love that scene so much. It's so hilarious. Like where do you even come up with that?
Not to get
stuff?
on
That's
another
so
Killer Clowns tangent, but.
We should just do a top 5 Killer Clowns weapons.
We might have to. My favorite part about introducing a movie to different people is asking them which of their favorite death is. Mm-hmm, because it's always different.
Yeah, it's almost like a horoscope. It's like you can tell a little about somebody by which scene they like the best.
Yeah. Yours is the shadow puppet.
Yeah.
Mine, it goes back and forth with me because sometimes I like they're doing the little puppet show. Uh-huh. I like that one. I like the acid pie. Obviously, is good.
Yeah.
I like the. I think I mean that's kind of why I got Shorty in my living room right now.
Yeah,
that scene where he punches the biker's head off.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know,
was that before or after Jason Takes Manhattan?
So Manhattan was what 89. Killer Clowns I think was 88.
Oh, really? We stepping on toes here? They borrow a little from Shorty there?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 1988, and then...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Manhattan was 89.
89, yep.
Not saying anything specific, but I don't know. Pretty similar scene there.
Yeah.
A little boxing moment, a little punching somebody's head off moment. I don't know. Does Shorty knock it off a roof and into a trash can that then also closes?
Perfect. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think we brought up that scene every Halloween podcast.
We should have had that on here. Jason's fists.
Jason strikes me as the kind of guy who's just frustrated that he's bigger than everything. He's like,
fit through this door.
Make things for big people. I'm going to smash it until you do.
Woo, got the asthma cough going.
Asmar.
What else you got here? What else? So you said the totems. We argued about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Was that? I think that was not recorded.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't necessarily consider the totems themselves from Cabin in the Woods. I don't necessarily count those as weapons. Sure, it's like the trigger point that releases whatever creature or something that comes and kills them, but I don't think those themselves are used as a weapon specifically.
What are they used as then?
They're like it's like a trigger like to something else,
like a greeting card.
I mean, It's not a weapon. They're not using those things to kill anybody. It's the thing that releases the thing that uses something else to kill somebody. It's like you were gonna argue earlier. You said something about the ring. We talked about the ring and the videotape. Or we didn't really talk about it, but you mentioned it when you listed your nominees. You said something about the ring, and you're like, we could argue whether that's a weapon or not. What's your argument there? You said you were considering whether that's a weapon.
Well, because it's not.
But you put the tape in, and that leads to the girl coming out and killing you. That's the same thing, right?
No, I mean, that's not what happens No, I mean, but
that's what leads to your death. You watch the tape, and it leads to you being killed in 7 days.
It's more, so the video from The Ring's more similar to like Final Destination than it is to Cabin in the Woods, wherein something bad happens and your fate is basically set. You just don't know when you're going to die. But
the tape leads to your death. You
Correct.
Watch the tape and then you die.
Yeah, but
isn't that the same thing as
it's not,
you picking up a book, reading a passage, and then people come and kill you? Isn't that the same thing?
I mean, it could be, but I had the video as one of my nominees. So,
but you were also questioning it. So why are you acting like I'm crazy for saying the same thing?
Because I think the video from The Ring is less of a weapon than those from Cabin in the Woods. I think they're both weapons, but I think it's less of a weapon because
to me they're in the same book, and I don't like either of them.
For me, it's if it'd be different. I don't know. I guess it'd be different for me if
because really they're in that situation. It's like they're.
Hold on, let me make
that really only determines who comes and kills them. It doesn't.
Let me make my point. If it was just something where they go to a cabin and then this sort of thing happens, okay. But the fact that there's people behind it, there's a whole corporation behind it that have set all these traps up, to me...
Well, you keep saying traps. They're not really traps.
Yeah,
it's a thing, okay. And then they say, oh, well, they read the passage, therefore we're going to hit a button and it's going to open the door that leads to these people.
We're arguing, we're arguing over
But I think that's key because it's not like a thing happens and then it releases them immediately because of that thing.
Then take away the word trap. They're still manufacturing a weapon. By releasing a button, they click a button, correct? And they release something to kill these kids.
Those people are the weapon, right? Not the thing that tells them which ones to release.
It's all the same. The thing I'm referencing is all the same. It's all one. It's all one.
That's not deliberately causing that. There's a person in the middle that's pushing a button because they did this thing.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's not responsible for it. They're saying they picked up this thing, therefore that's the one that we're gonna do. It's like you saying you going to McDonald's and saying I'll have a number 2. You didn't say like the board isn't responsible for the burger you get. It's because you said number 2. It's the same thing. They're just going in there and whichever one they choose, they're like, okay, Yahtzee, they chose that one. Release number 47, and then they send people out. It's not, that thing isn't causing their death. The people are that press the button to release the beasts.
Okay, but see,
or whatever it is.
You're sitting here, you're thinking, I'm thinking exclusively that thing, like the book or whatever that they pick up. I can't remember what they pick up the release.
Yeah.
You're acting like I'm referencing that specifically.
No.
Yeah, I'm referencing everything as one entire unit.
Yeah, the whole room of objects. Yes. That's what I'm saying. No, when you choose off a menu.
No.
What?
I'm not the whole room. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the specific thing that they pick up, which is like the journal or diary or notebook or whatever. That thing that specific thing they pick up leads to, I think, the zombie family going and killing them, right? So that is what I'm referencing. I'm not referencing all the other little trinkets that can be.
But that's what all of those things do. That's what you're saying, right?
I know,
but they open the book. That causes the zombie people to come out.
but when you watch that movie, you don't think of all those. You think of that one specific one. That's the same. It's no different than any of these other movies. When you think of that movie, you think of that scene of that movie, among other things.
I mean, you can't even remember what it was specifically.
Okay, I can't remember exactly what the like.
How is it iconic if you don't know what it is?
I just said it was a diary, right?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
You said book, so I'm saying book. I don't remember.
I remember
there's like a little puzzle thing that they do. There's a shell. There's a bunch of things. I can't remember which one.
I think it was one of the female characters went down to the
I think she reads like the inscription in the back or something.
That's what I'm talking about. That so I remember. I just can't remember if it's a diary or a book or a journal or whatever. Yeah. So I'm specifically talking about that medium, that whatever that piece of literature.
Yeah. That
directly causes the zombie family to come after them. That is what I'm referencing. I'm not referencing the pheromones that are released too. I'm not referencing all the.
Well, I'm not saying that. I was saying all of those other objects release a different creature, person, whatever, to come and kill them.
Yeah, but
that's what they're choosing when they go in there.
Correct.
If they blow the conch, it releases the merman or whatever. If they do the puzzle thing, it releases whatever the puzzle thing's associated with.
Right.
So that's what I was saying. Like, that's why I was saying the McDonald's thing. If you go to McDonald's and order a number 2, the board you're pointing out is not deciding what burger you get. It's you saying it, and then they give it to you because that's what the number 2 means. So it's not.
I mean,
it's not the tool that's directly acting on them. They're deciding that, okay, we associate this book with these specific zombie hillbilly people. Uh-huh. So they do this, so we're going to release these people. It's not actually causing them to be released.
Okay. There's
a step in the way.
I
also, those things don't specifically kill anybody. It's not like they open a book and they fall through a trap door. It's different.
I mean,
they
still pick the thing that leads to the zombies killing. But whatever, fine.
There's too many steps for
arguments.
It to be a weapon.
For argument's sake, I'll drop that part of my argument and say, okay, the fucking zombie family then.
Okay, well then, if you're just doing that, then I don't think it makes it.
No, see, you can't pull that shit. I'm not even saying I'd put it in my top 5.
Okay, well, my thing though is that you said it was iconic. Sure, I think that scene is iconic, but I don't consider it a weapon. I think it's iconic. It's not a weapon. The guys that end up coming to kill them, that's a weapon. That's not iconic. So neither of them really fit.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, well, moving on. We have like 12 here. Do you really think that one's top 5 of the like 13 options we have to choose from here?
No.
Okay, well then can we move on? I guess let's go the reverse way because we've said all of our ones. Oh, okay. So did I mention my long shot that I was going to say the bread slicer from Fear Street?
No.
It's not super. Oh, I mentioned the Shadow Puppet T-Rex is my other long shot, but the other one is the bread slicer. It's another one. It's not as popular as the other ones. The movie isn't as all of the other ones in this thing, but that scene is probably the one that sticks in everybody's head.
Personally, me specific, like if I was just doing a personal one, I would heavily consider this one. And I forgot about it. I forgot to put it on my list.
Yeah.
But I remember watching that scene. I was like, holy, because like Fear Street, it wasn't like Goosebumps level corny.
Yeah, but it was kind of it.
But it certainly wasn't. It wasn't.
It's the same author, right? Isn't it? Isn't R.L. Stein?
Yeah.
But it was like R.L. Stein, but it's like this is his adult stuff.
Yeah.
So
like. But it certainly wasn't Saw. So I was expecting, I don't know what.
But it was like kind of like a.
But I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
I was not expecting a gory scene like that.
Yeah, it was
basically.
It was on par with most slashers, I'd say. It wasn't like the torture porn era slashers, but it was up there. And then, but yeah, like most of the other deaths were all just like, oh, somebody gets stabbed or impaled or whatever, which is like basic stuff. You see that in any kind of horror movie. But yeah, that was something.
Something else.
And we've talked a little bit, like, you got into horror movies a lot younger than I did. They really fucked me up a lot when I was a kid.
Not by choice, I did.
Yeah. But you started to, you like got into them a little younger.
Oh, I got into them, but yeah, I was terrified of them, but it was weird. I was in that weird.
Not so much even as a kid. I just mean like even as a teen, like when most people get into horror movies. It took me a while to get into horror movies because I don't know, they really fucked me up for a long time. Yeah. And there was always like key scenes that would just be burned into my brain, and I would just see them every time I closed my eyes. And this still happens, by the way, even as a full-grown adult now, where there are just specific death scenes usually that are just burned into my brain. and they'll just fuck me up and they'll make me lose sleep. But I still watch the movies anyway.
Yep.
This is one of those scenes. For a couple of months, every time I would try to sleep, just projected onto the back of my eyelids is this head going through a bread slicer. Ugh.
I cannot believe I didn't think of this.
What?
But I'm adding one.
Oh.
I'm adding a nominee.
Okay, hit me. Is it also not a weapon?
Shut the fuck up.
Is it like a weapon in theory? Is it just like a theoretical weapon? Is it a weapon that leads to another? Is it a thing that leads to a thing that leads to a thing that leads to a weapon?
Are you done?
Yeah.
I'm going the lawnmower from Sinister.
That's a good one.
You mentioned
Scenes burned in your brain. Yeah.
Full grown adult watching that movie. That freaked me out.
Yeah.
That movie felt so damn real. And watching that for the first time with our stepdad down in the basement on the big TV.
And watching 3 full adults lunge back in their seats when that scene happens.
Were you watching it with us that night?
No.
But you watched.
You told me about it, but I remember watching it again later.
That was like our second time. But yeah.
Yeah, we watched it a couple years after.
That.
And even then, that is probably the second or third time all of us watched it. We all know it's coming. We've talked about it before. And still, all 3 of us visibly just lunge back in our seats when that moment comes because we know it's happening, but it's still shocking.
I'll never forget the first time I watched it when I was watching with Greg down in the basement. Lights off. It's pitch black. It's movie theater black in there. And watch the movie for the first time. And that scene comes on, and I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you fully know. Even the first time you watch it, you're like, okay,
man. When he's pushing that mower, and you see nothing for a long time, and then you just see a tied up body out of nowhere. Oh my God! I jumped out, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I mean, oh my God, man.
Yeah,
that scene.
They shoot it perfectly, and it takes a while. I think that's part of it. Is because that mower's going.
He's pushing the mower for a while.
It's like a good probably 30, 40 seconds almost of him just pushing, and it's just grass, and it's like raining too.
Yeah.
So it's just like nothingness. It's basically you see a lawnmower and then gray space.
Yeah.
It's just like nothing. White noise in the background, and then suddenly a face just appears, and you can only see like a foot in front of the mower too. So it's so quick,
so instant.
Oh man, that movie gets a lot of crap, but doesn't get a lot of love compared to some of the other ones in that era. That one's one of my favorites. Of that, there was a good 6-year period where a bunch of movies were coming out. They were all really good.
Fantastic movie.
A lot of those horror movies, like Insidious was in there, and Conjuring was a couple years later. The Purge was in there. I feel like that one kind of gets lost, but that's probably my favorite of those really good ones in that little stretch.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Anyway, so that is a good one. That's a good ad. I don't know if it's top 5, but it's up there. It's a good 6 to 8.
It'd probably be in my personal 5 with.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's definitely a top 5er for my list.
All right, we should probably get our
let's
shit
narrow down. Okay, so what I was going to say. Before I said the bread slicer thing, what can we eliminate? What can we take out of this list? Let's do it that way. We'll go backwards.
From our, not to get onto the tangent again, but I'm okay with taking the video from The Ring out.
Okay. Any particular reason? Did you like what I said?
A little. I didn't like how you said it.
Okay. Okay. I didn't mention the hook hand from Candyman.
Well, then I guess that means we'll take it out. We haven't really talked about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's another one that's probably a 6 to 8 range. I think it's a really good one. I didn't grow up with Candyman though. It's one I watched later. I think I watched it in college for the first time.
It's kind of like Hellraiser for me, where I always heard of it, but I never just watched it.
It's raved about. It's one of those. I think it's almost too good to be a horror movie. Yeah. It's a slasher movie, but it's got all these other themes going on that really make you think, and it's almost its own kind of category. It's really popular in a lot of different circles, but it's just not one you hear about that's listed in a lot of the other ones, or listed with a lot of the other ones. But yeah, I think we could probably cut that one, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely a top 10er for sure. What else we got? What else we want to cut? We didn't really talk about the Saw trap, the reverse bear trap from Saw. Do you want to describe that one for anybody that doesn't know that one?
It's basically
calling it a reverse bear trap. Reverse bear trap is kind of weird.
It's essentially
That's basically what it is.
It's basically just
it's like, how is it? Does show how it's fastened? Is it like something like in there? It's like in the mouth, right?
Yeah, it's basically it's shut and it's like attached to their mouth or whatever, and then it basically when it literally reverse bear trap, it just opens instead of closes.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is it's used multiple times in the movie.
It's probably the most.
It's the most used. It's
the most like recognizable.
It's really the only
the series.
It's really the only weapon, only trap or whatever that
shows up
repeated.
more than once. Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure this isn't the only one that's like survived or whatever. But like throughout the movies, you see individual scenes of them in the traps or whatever, and they usually always die. Like she's like the only one that survived.
Yeah,
and the other ones in that same trap did die.
Yeah, I gotcha. I know that one's in one of the scary movies. The one with, I think it's the one with Dr. Phil in it.
Oh yeah,
Dr. Phil and Shaq, I think.
Yeah, they're recreating the scene from the first Saw.
Yeah,
and he has to make his game is he has to make a free throw.
Yeah, that's right.
To escape, he has to make a free
Dr.
throw.
Dr. Phil's like
heckling him.
Heckling him. Oh, that's funny. I think that's probably the most iconic one, other than the room in the first Saw. That's probably the most iconic image from the Saw movies. Is that okay? So that one's definitely up there too. Okay, so I'm just gonna make an executive decision, and I'm cutting your totems from Cabin in the Woods. We didn't talk about Carrie either. The telekinesis.
I probably wouldn't have put the Cabin in the Woods one in my top 5 anyways.
Yet you're sitting here wasting half an hour yelling at me about it.
It's the principle behind it.
Okay. I think we can cut the bread slicer just because it's not iconic enough. The movie itself isn't iconic enough. Maybe give it 20 years of life and maybe it moves up, but for right now, no. I'll cut my shadow puppet because it's a personal favorite, but it's not a universal favorite. I think from Killer Clowns.
Well, you just said we didn't talk about Carrie's brain.
Yeah, Carrie's brain.
I don't know. Carrie is one of the most iconic, not just Stephen King movies, but horror movies, like horror characters. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned last week on the pod. They considered, before Freddy versus Jason, they considered, Jason versus Carrie or something like that?
No, that was the premise for the New Blood. Because they wanted to do Freddy versus Jason, but they couldn't get the rights to Freddy. So they're like, well, okay, what about Jason versus Carrie, basically? So they made like a fake Carrie.
Okay. I mean, if one of the most iconic horror villains of all time is using
they're running out of ideas. Oh, let's bring in another character.
Is using your likeness in a movie to defeat Jason? I know it's not Carrie. I know it's technically not Carrie or whatever, and I know.
But the weapon is the telekinesis. Right. The weapon is the same.
So
that is a good case.
That's a maybe.
I think it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely unique. It's not just here's a sharp object that I'm gonna shove through you, just burn the school down with everybody in it. You weren't so hot on the Ghostface knife, but I think that's pretty iconic. It's like in all of the imagery you see, it's in all the iconography of the movie, all the memorabilia.
When you were arguing for it, and you mentioned in every movie they do the scene where he lifts the knife up and wipes it.
Wipes the blood.
I forgot about that. I think that's what makes the knife iconic for those movies. I think if they didn't have that scene, I'd be arguing a little bit harder to keep it off. But the fact that I forgot about that scene, I'd be okay with putting it up there.
Yeah, I think the other thing for me is that he's always got it. Like with Jason and his machete, he kills so many other ways. But he kind of comes back to the machete a lot. Yeah. It's in Friday the 13th. Like that's how his mom dies. But he uses a lot of other things. Michael, same way. He only uses it like he attacks Laurie with it, but he only kills Bob with it. The other ones he strangles. But I think going back to the Ghostface thing, I think the fact that other than at the end where whoever is Ghostface for that movie reveals themselves, then they usually switch to a gun to hold them at gunpoint and monologue until they die.
It's always so long and complicated.
Yeah,
dude.
but until that point, it's almost exclusively he's using that knife. And that specific knife with that specific shape, it doesn't change. It's not like he grabs whatever kitchen knife is nearby like Michael does.
Yeah.
Or whatever machete is in the cabin like Jason does. It's always that specific knife that they have. And I looked it up, it's a buck 120 knife. Buck 120 Bowie knife, I think.
Yeah, I kept reading it was just like a hunting knife, but yeah, you're right. like I said, if it wasn't for that raise the wipe it off with the glove.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right.
They
you know,
I'm
trying
that
to
from
think.
the original
I'm trying
one.
to think if it's either a knife or a gun.
Occasionally they improvise, like with the garage door opener, or the garage door, I guess. Most of the time, if they're hand-to-hand combat, if they're going in trying to kill somebody and they don't have to improvise, it's always that knife.
Speaking of Scary Movie, they did a parody of the opening scene from Scream.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't explain that scene, but you know when... In Scream where she gets killed and then the parents come home and they find her hanging or whatever. Well, in Scary Movie, she comes out and runs in front of the road, be like, "Hey, save me!" Well, like her dad they're kind of doing some adult things in the car.
Yeah, a little distracted, are we?
A little distracted, and they end up hitting their daughter.
That's what happens. You ever watch that movie Thinner? It's another Stephen King movie, a Stephen King adaptation anyway. But that's kind of what gets the ball rolling in that one is a little hanky pank in the car on the way home. They hit somebody and kill them, and then they get the guy gets cursed afterward. It's a fine movie. Anyway, back to the task at hand here. So you're in on the knife now?
I'm in on the knife.
Okay, so I got the chainsaw, the knife. I think that's all we have as locks right now.
I'm locking bear trap. Reverse bear trap.
I'm okay with that. How do you feel about the power loader from Aliens? You weren't super high on that one, but I think it's that scene is the one scene everybody knows from that movie. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know that scene. What's your hang up on that one?
I guess.
Is it just because you don't associate it with horror?
I think it's my interpretation of horror. I know it says horror in the description. I think it's my interpretation of horror. I don't consider the Alien movies horror.
The first one is for sure.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because it's more like.
Well, now I'm looking at IMDb, and Google said horror, but IMDb does not. IMDb says alien invasion, cyberpunk, space sci-fi, action, adventure, sci-fi, thriller.
Okay, well that sounds a little dramatic, but okay.
They're a little. Those are some wild genres, but Google
genre
says,
alien space adventure. Okay.
No, space sci-fi.
Space sci-fi. Not to be confused with land sci-fi. Or water sci-fi.
But Google says horror. Yeah, Google says horror action. So
I just don't associate aliens.
I mean, it's definitely an action movie. Like, definitely an action sci-fi movie. But I think the first one is more like sci-fi horror. This one has horror elements, but they just fold in a little more action.
Which is why I wouldn't really consider it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. I mean, it's not a slasher movie,
Fine.
but it's. What about Jaws? You consider that a horror movie?
No.
You don't?
No.
That one's absolutely a horror movie. Are you kidding? What is that? Just a shark movie? It's a seaside fun time? What are we talking about?
More of a thriller.
A guy gets eaten by a shark. A thriller.
Yeah, I mean, I could argue. I mean,
it's a suspense.
Okay, it's guy gets eaten by a shark. All right, I'll just turn on Shark Week. I mean, it's no different.
What? Because it's not at nighttime? It's not a horror movie?
Maybe, I don't know. It's not raining and storming. I don't know.
Oh man. Okay, that's well. Now you're losing me here. I was a little on board with Aliens, and then you say Jaws isn't a horror movie. You're like, I don't know about that, my friend. Here we go again. Literally, I go to IMDb. I don't know if we should go by IMDb anymore because they say Jaws for the genres. It's sea adventure.
It's a sea sci-fi.
Sea adventure, survival, which I agree with. Adventure. Adventure movies are like Indiana Jones. This is not an adventure movie. Drama and thriller. Come on. What do you define as a horror movie? Like, I don't even know what it's not a ghost, so it's not horror. What's happening here? I don't know if we should trust IMDb anymore. I don't know. Jaws is okay. See, well, now Google disagrees with me. Google says thriller adventure. I don't know. I consider it a horror movie.
Wiki says it's an American thriller film.
Okay, whatever. Okay, if you say Aliens isn't a horror movie, I guess we'll take it off. But I disagree. But I'll concede. So that leaves us with. Oh wait, that actually leaves us with 5. Let's see if we're okay with this. We have the chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the buck knife from Scream, the reverse bear trap from Saw, the Saw series, the cotton candy gun, laser ray gun, whatever you call it, from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and Carrie's brain. The Teletubbies. The telekinesis from Carrie.
I didn't know we put the cotton candy gun in there.
That's just all I have left.
Oh.
I was eliminating them, and we ended up with 5. Because the only other ones I had, the other ones were the videotape from The Ring, the sickle from Children of the Corn, your totems from Cabin in the Woods. I had the oxygen tank from Jaws, but we just said that Jaws isn't a horror movie, so we took that one out. The power loader from Aliens, the Fear Street bread slicer, the Shadow Puppet T-Rex, and Candyman's hook hand. I like saying that. Candyman hook hand. Any of those you want to throw back in there to debate it, or are we just settled on those 5?
The only debate is if we think cotton candy gun should be in there, actually, if it actually legitimately belongs in the top 5. I love it, but I'm not necessarily sure it belongs in the top 5.
Are you like overcorrecting your bias? I think with as popular as that movie is getting,
and like you said, the Spirit Halloween, they have the gun everywhere. I almost bought it. I almost bought the gun. It was like over $100. I almost bought it.
It's the weapon from the movie. It's the one, like you were saying, the key thing that everybody thinks about. And I think that movie's gaining so much steam right now. I don't know. What do you think? I think it's up there. What else would you put in its place then?
I just don't know.
What about Carrie's telekinesis? You think that's worthy of a top 5 nod?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the Candyman hook is probably about the only other one that I would consider in place of the cotton candy gun. Even though we didn't really talk about it too much, but I just think it's. Although I don't know, I don't know how much you think about the hook too much with Candyman.
Yeah.
Like I see his face more than anything, and the bees coming out of his mouth and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm talking myself out of it. I just think Candyman is iconic.
If you think I might be overcorrecting with the Killer Clowns bit, then maybe you're right.
I just don't see any others on that list other than the power loader from Aliens and the oxygen tank from Jaws. But we've just agreed they're not horror movies by your standard. And IMDb's for some reason, but they have some weird-ass genres.
And every other thing you've looked up, so...
That was Jaws. Google said Aliens was horror. So... Okay, so I wasn't going to say Jaws anyway. That was just kind of a throw-in at the end. But I do think the power loader is. But you said no, so we're going to take it out. That would be the only other one.
Lawnmower from Sinister?
I forgot we threw that in there. Do you think that's more... Because it's literally just that half a second that it's attacking somebody on screen.
True. It's very brief.
If we're talking about like 30-second moments from horror movies,
I mean, you know me,
whatever.
I would roll with I'll roll with the cotton candy gun.
Yeah,
but
I just don't see another thing. If we're excluding Aliens from this, I think that's our 5.
Okay.
So we got the Leatherface's chainsaw, Ghostface's knife, the Saw bear trap, the Killer Clown's cotton candy gun, and Carrie's brain / Carrie's telekinesis.
Carrie's brain. Always.
Leave it to a woman to have her brain be the ultimate weapon there.
That's his life.
All the dudes just bashing and crashing. That was a really bad chainsaw sound.
Really bad.
Yikes. And that's the show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as Bran loves his room full of trinkets. And you can pay that love forward by sharing this podcast with your spookiest friends and family, horror fanatics, weaponry enthusiasts.
Doomsday preppers.
They like their weapons. You can find us on Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to like us on your platform of choice. Hit that little subscribe button, ring that little bell so you never miss a new episode. They'll just tell you when a new one drops. You can give us a review, give us a little star rating. That really helps us get seen by others out there. Easiest thing to do is just tell your friends about it. Just let anybody know if they might like us. You can like us on Facebook and follow us at CCWisePod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Twitter. You can follow me on just about everything at Tyler_W. Where can everyone find you out there in the greatest horror of them all, the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at BWise23. I'm also on Instagram at NotTheFakeBW. And I am also on TikTok at NotTheFakeBrandonWise. I just want everybody to know it's the real me.
It's the real one.
So,
It's the real deal.
go ahead and join us in a couple weeks, and we'll have another episode of Counterclockwise for you.
And happy Halloween, and stay Broden.
In my head, zombie, hey.
I'm still recording. That's definitely our stinger.